So my name's Anthony Doyle. I'm the Director of Sales Enablement at Turnitin. My background is in EdTech sales. So I've been in EdTech sales since 1999, working in the tech industry first as a developer. I've transitioned through many different roles and got into sales in the early 2000s, working for Blackboard. And Turnitin has been around since 1988. So I've always seen the company and been, familiar with it as it's grew up. So I was thrilled to take the opportunity to join Turnitin about 3.5 years ago to take on the role of Director of Sales Enablement. So that, I head the team up, and really I've been involved in establishing the sales enablement strategy and then executing on that. Just prior to me joining the company had acquired Highspot as a new sales enablement platform. So I got the job of really then working with a team to strategize and roll out and implement Highspot. The Turnitin Sales Academy is basically taking all of the training and guidance that we've been building and putting that into structured learning pathways that are then allocated and assigned to the different sales roles in the organization. And there'll be skills assessment in there, utilizing Highspot to fulfill that skills assessment. It'll be tied to rubrics, competency, skills underneath that. So we'll be able to see over time as well how managers are then coaching and developing the skills within their teams within the programs that we also offer. The driver behind really building this initiative at Turnitin was to build a world-class sales force. So when I was hired in the role, that was the remit I was given. I was hired to really elevate the sales enablement practice and to drive towards world-class selling. And I recognized that the only way of doing that was really to build a robust strategy with selling competencies that are aligned to a sales process. So what we've built is effectively a customized sales process. We've merged a lot of sales teams from acquired companies into one selling organization. And we've now got a centralized sales process that is supported by those selling competencies. So the competencies and the sales process go hand in hand, and that becomes our sales methodology. So the training courses in the Sales Academy is bringing that to life and putting that in the hands of the sellers in the way that they need to interact with it. So there's certain competencies that apply more strongly to some roles than others. So the Academy will have learning pathways which will be deployed to those roles, and that will bring those competencies to the forefront for that role. And all of the training is developed and delivered in Highspot. In terms of measuring success from the enablement programs that we offer, we've been doing that already for quite a while by utilizing Highspot's data lake. So we've been extracting data already from Highspot on a nightly basis from the data lake, and we've been loading that in a Tableau with data coming from Salesforce. So we've been able to already draw those correlations and see the impact of sellers undertaking our sales enablement programs, sellers engaging with things like digital sales rooms and pitching out content, etc. And we've been able to compare those groups for sellers who are exhibiting those behaviors versus sellers who are not, and see what the performance trends look like. So we've already been doing that, and that was one of the key things we did about a year ago now to send back to leadership in the company so that they could see the impact of enablement, but also the impact of the investment in Highspot. That was a key ask that we had from leadership last year. So in doing so, we've already been establishing that kind of footprint of analyzing and showing the impact of enablement programs. And I think what's really exciting is that's going to be coming with like go-to-market initiatives and that sort of ability to be able to set key initiatives, set goals, and then to track towards them. So when we do things like product launches, which we've done a few of them over the past couple of years, we've been doing that by deploying training programs in Highspot, but now we'll be able to condense it down into an initiative and then track that and see the metrics that are coming from it. So that's going to be quite exciting for us. So really, in terms of the impact that Highspot's had on the sellers and the behaviors of the sellers and the results that we've had in the sales teams, when we first started rolling out training programs in Highspot, we were getting like kind of a barrier or resistance for people undertaking them and completing them. We were seeing that there wasn't a lot of uptake, but over time we've been reinforcing that over and over again, and then just re-embedding that training when we've been doing live workshops, referring it back, tying it in. And we have got a very, very good completion rate in our training now in Highspot. So that's certainly improved and increased over time. And we've just this week launched Gainsight as a platform in the business. So of course we've rolled out a training program for that in Highspot. And we've seen a very, very good completion rate already for that. We had about, I think, in the first day, we had a 65% completion of the training. So of all of the users we enrolled to that program, 65% of them completed it in the same day, which was fantastic. And that's like so far ahead of where we were 3 years ago. So before we had Highspot, training was kind of unstructured, it was patchy, it wasn't consistent. Now what we're seeing from sellers is they're enjoying undertaking the training and they're engaging with it and leaning in, and they're giving us very good compliments back too. So for our latest product training, we've had in some regions 100% completion of the training, and we've had very, very good feedback. And that is also testament to our content developer, our learning experience designer who builds some of these courses, but we use a variety of different techniques and tools and then bring them in using SCORM packages into Highspot and present them and roll them out. And that's been incredibly successful since we took that approach. I think the other success that we've seen is just on that product training note. We launched a product about a year and a half ago now, and we've seen an incredible attachment rate for that product within our existing accounts in one of the teams. So, sellers were able to get educated on that training and on that product. And then when they were going in the renewal conversations, they were very, very successful in attaching that product to renewal agreements. So that's been a really good success story too. I think it's incredibly important to have a unified sales enablement platform because you can't really expect sellers in their busy days to go into many platforms, right? You've got to try and centralize their knowledge and centralize the way that they can interact with customers. So if they can do that on one platform, it makes their life a lot easier, but also it affords a lot of rich data points too. So in Oliver's keynote, he was talking about the different data points and how the AI innovations that Highspot are driving towards is relying on that data. Well, if that's in different platforms, it's very difficult to cohesively build models and build learning models that can actually help the sellers then be more responsive to customers. If you think about a customer and the expectation they've got for getting their queries answered, getting issues dealt with, getting solutions put forth, they expect that much quicker now because they're using Gen AI to ask it questions, it spits out the answer within seconds. So they kind of expect a much more responsive service from customer success teams now as well. So I think by having one platform and centralizing all of that knowledge, and then adding things like the AI Center that Highspot are going to be releasing, where sellers can go in and just ask a question in natural language and get resources and document very quickly that they can then provide to their customers. That's the type of value that you're going to get from having a unified platform rather than having disparate systems that don't talk to each other. In terms of the way our sales org is structured, we have account executives, but we also have customer success managers. And those two roles, I like to think they're more similar than different, right, in terms of the competencies that you need to be successful in those roles, but also the way that you're going to interact with customers. You're not going to interact with customers differently, really, from when you're in the process of solving an issue for them and getting them to buy into a solution than you are when you're actually delivering that solution and then also seeking to solve other issues. So in the industry that we're in education technology, it's a subscription-based model, right? It's a SaaS model, like Highspot is. And I would say it's the same with your teams at Highspot. When a Highspot customer makes the decision to purchase Highspot, that's not the end of the journey for them. It's just the beginning. So I think the same skills and the same techniques and approaches and the same knowledge is needed really to take a customer through the buying journey, but then into the customer journey as well, because ultimately you're going to be solving problems for the customer on an ongoing basis. It's a perpetual cycle. So I think that's what a lot of people maybe forget, that it's not about a pre-sales and a post-sales journey, it's about the customer journey. And the customer journey is a cyclic one. It's a case of them dealing with issues that they've got to solve and working with a trusted partner to help them solve those issues. Now, if you can establish that result, right, they're going to come back and want to solve more problems with you, and you're going to be able to drive expansion, you're going to be able to drive cross-sell, you're going to be able to do all of those things that organizations long to kind of do and are trying to do in order to increase revenue. So I think that's my biggest takeaway is it's not really about the pre-sales and post-sales journey, it's about the customer journey, and organizations have to absolutely focus on what that means and how they can get that right. So we wanted the early users of Meeting Intelligence as a pilot group. So we took it when it was in beta still. It hadn't really released out into the wider community. So we've seen some of the kind of nascent delivery of that technology. And I think really the potential is phenomenal for Meeting Intelligence. And I think Oliver said this also, that it's going to take some time, right, for companies to find what's working and what they need to really focus down on and hone down on in order to get very, very valuable solutions. So I think Meeting Intelligence is exciting for me because of the competency component, because it's okay driving a training program and setting the competencies in there and having a rubric-based assessment, a skills assessment, where they maybe upload a discovery call or something like that, and they get some automatic feedback and they get scored. But then how are they evolving that skill, and how are they kind of continuously driving that competency within their practice? Well, that's going to happen in meetings and in engagements and in conversations with customers. So what we want to do long term is to be able to capture in a platform those conversations and to be able to somehow help managers coach and assess the competency delivery and then set kind of objectives for their teams to improve that competency. And that's how we're going to get to a world-class sales organization, by having robustness over the competencies and continuously driving improvement on them and development. So I think where Highspot is heading with Meeting Intelligence is exciting, because it's going to really reduce the barriers for managers to be able to achieve that, and for enablement teams to be able to drive that type of practice. So that's what we're excited about. It's not quite there yet, right? And there's still some capabilities to be fully baked and developed and then, put into full mode kind of in anger testing in the field. But I think that's where it's going, and that's what we're excited for. So we're kind of, at the moment, we have not licensed Meeting Intelligence. We've been looking at it early on, and we're tracking it very carefully, and I'm in constant conversation with our account manager and CSM to just really see where it's going. And then when the time's right, we will ultimately be looking to implement some technology like that in the business, be it Meeting Intelligence or be it other platforms. So we're kind of just like trialing things out. We're looking at the market and we're making sure we make the right decision. But if Highspot delivers on what it's looking to deliver on with that product, I think it would be a very, very strong contender. And I think organizations are going to really struggle to find a platform that's going to do that within one space. And then again, if we think about the data that platform can gather and put into the AI models in the platform, it's a very, very strong value proposition. I think in terms of overcoming really difficult problems, the biggest problem with that is engagement. Engagement from the sales teams in leaning into the enablement programs and spending time and investing their time in their own development. And I think that's what we've seen a real uptick on and success on in the past maybe 6 to 12 months, is we've seen a change in attitude. And actually we're getting success now when we're launching new training programs. People are leaning into them and they are completing them. And they're giving us good feedback too, which is something that I probably never thought I would have said when I first joined the organization in the first 12 months, because we started investing a lot of time in building a lot of training, but then that wasn't really getting consumed, and it was very difficult to get managers to even back us up and roll it out with their teams. Whereas now when I've just presented to the go-to-market team on a go-to-market all hands, the strategy for the sales academy. And there was just a lot of love in the room. There was a lot of people saying, this is fantastic. We can't wait to see it in action and get our hands on it. So we had a lot of, good feedback from that session. And that's really pleasing for me because it means that the strategy was the right strategy. And I think the message for teams, enablement teams out there, if you are getting those challenges with engagement, is keep at it and show value and really kind of drive those proof points and get those wins regionally with teams who will engage, and then present it in a very easy to consume way and in a way that the teams can feel confident about engaging with, and you will see the results and the tide will turn. So that's something I'm proud of. I think a word I would use to describe Highspot is versatile. I think it's very, very versatile. And the underlying structure of Highspot and the way that it's built provides a lot of utility for an enablement function. And that's why you can consolidate down into one platform, and it's kind of like it becomes a bit of a Swiss Army knife in a way. So it's got a lot of versatility in the way that spots are organized, in the way that the training and development platform is built. With a lesson, you can create one lesson and you can put that in multiple courses. And then you can put that course into multiple learning paths, right? And say we're delivering a role-based curriculum. Well, there might be a course that we want to include in the onboarding program that somebody who's onboarding with us is going to see in the first 4 weeks, and they're going to complete it. But that also might be a requirement on the role-based curriculum for existing people, but also for them as they step into the role in the 3-4 months in, they're going to then get enrolled into the core curriculum. And if they've completed that lesson, it's already done for them. It's already complete. They don't have to take it again. So I think it's just very smart and it's very versatile. So I think those would be the two words I would use: versatile, or versatility, and smart.